The Ring versus The Grudge, which is the better remake? Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reviews. So today we are putting The Ring up against The Grudge and just seeing which is the better remake. Now, as always guys, remember if you think one is better than the other, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. We're going to kick things off with the story of both movies. So both films actually have quite a tragic story, but they actually go about telling them in much different ways. So The Ring in itself centers on a woman played by Naomi Watts as she investigates the deaths linked to a mysterious videotape. Now the first half of the movie takes its time just kind of building up this tape and the legend of it, and we really don't see Samara until much later into the film. Instead, we spend quite a lot of time with Naomi Watts' character as she investigates this tape and actually finds out the history of it. Now what I like about this is although we don't see Samara for quite a long time into the film, there is always this sense of dread and foreboding as she gets closer and closer to solving the mystery. On the other hand, The Grudge tells an equally eerie story, but it actually does it in a much different way. So it actually does it by jumping from different timestamps, and we go to the past, we go to the future, and then back again, finding out what actually happened to the character of Kyoko. Now when we do find out this kind of tragic past that she went through, although it is very well done, the road we took to get there is just a little bit confusing. So out of both movies, although I do enjoy the storytelling of The Grudge, I think The Ring handles it a little bit better. Next is the tone and feel of both movies. Now for me, what I love about The Grudge is actually the location and the fact that they actually filmed in Tokyo itself. It does add a certain sense of isolation and dread throughout the entire film because you honestly feel what it's like for a foreigner living alone in a country they're just not comfortable with. Because of this, you do feel the main character Karen is pretty much out of her depth. She doesn't know the language in the country she's in, so when she goes for help, she really has nowhere to go. The movie also does a great job of building tension throughout through the different locations that they have. So from graveyards to really dark hallways and pitch black rooms. Honestly, the locations are probably the key aspect of this movie that just brings it closer to the original Ju-on. At the same time, The Ring does the absolute opposite of this, so it's actually based in the US and it's clearly made for Western audiences. What I like about the film is that it's actually quite intriguing just seeing the two cultures mix, as well as that although we do spend most of the movie following Rachel as she's investigating Samara and her past, you never actually feel like she is safe. There's a kind of a coldness to the movie that's always there. As well as that, what I like about the film is they actually have this kind of green tint throughout the entire movie, and they actually put that in there intentionally to create an almost unnerving feeling to the film. Sets were also lit in a way that none of the characters have shadows, and that's there again just to create an almost added sense of creepiness. Although Samara cannot get to the characters for 7 days, her presence is always felt throughout the entire movie. So with that one, I'm going to give the second point to The Ring. Next we're going to look at the characters, and with The Grudge it pretty much sets itself quite a hefty task, just like all the other Grudge movies, where it has a convoluted timeline but also a hell of a lot of characters to juggle. Now I don't mind it, I like going back and forth between multiple characters, but again I can understand for regular audiences why that might be a bit irritating. Even with Karen, although she is the main character in the movie and we are following her most of the time, throughout the film you're constantly thrown into side stories and then you have to go back and just catch up with her individual story. Whereas The Ring sticks to a pretty linear story which slowly unravels as the layers come off. The cast is also quite small in this one, which does help quite a lot. You don't have too many characters to juggle and you get to know every single character in the movie. Now one big aspect why that's important is when one of the big kills comes towards the end of the film, you honestly do feel it. Another added positive that actually goes to the characters of The Ring is the character of Rachel and her quest to save both her own life but also the life of her son. It just adds more of an emotional depth to the movie, and that's why The Ring gets the next point. Next we're going to look at both villains, and for me what is really interesting and terrifying about The Grudge is honestly once the curse gets a hold of you, it doesn't let go. If you get killed in that house, if you get killed in the grasp of the Grudge curse, you will become just like Kyoko. So a lot of different characters actually become ghosts in the movie and do kill people themselves. As well as that, as I said, the curse just never lets you go. Unlike Samara, we are waiting 7 days, with Kyoko and just that Grudge curse, you are constantly waiting to be killed off. It is constantly there and it can pretty much get you anywhere. Looking at the ring, although Samara is just as horrifying when she appears, she really doesn't appear too much in the movie. She honestly just appears when she's there to claim her victims. I enjoy the backstory of her character, but as a villain, I honestly expected just a little bit more. So with this one, I'm going to give this point to The Grudge. Next, we're going to look at the kills, and both movies are pretty similar in this sense that they don't actually have a lot of kill scenes on screen. Instead, they focus a lot more on actually finding the victim and the ordeal that they went through. So Katie in particular, at the start of The Ring, the image of her body still disturbs me today, and it's still one of the better deaths in film, but again, we just don't see it on screen. Whereas with The Grudge, what I find is we do get quite a lot more kills on screen, but they're also a hell of a lot more creative. Although The Ring has that iconic kill scene towards the end of the movie, The Grudge just has a lot more kill scenes, and again, they're just a little bit more creative for me. We have characters being dragged into bed sheets, we have characters being drowned, and we have some characters getting their jaws ripped up. So there's a lot more going on with The Grudge, so I do honestly prefer the kills just a little bit more. So I'm going to give the next point to The Grudge. And finally, we're going to look at the ending of both movies. Now, both movies honestly offer very similar endings with a tragic twist, but The Ring does one better by having a twist on a twist. The shot of Samara coming out of that television is pretty iconic, and most horror fans know it. Whereas with The Grudge, although they do offer a similar tragic story at the end of the movie, it's just not as intriguing. It's a bit anticlimactic if anything. So with that last point, I'm going to give the ending to The Ring. But guys, that's just my own personal opinion on which movie I think is better. Now again, if you like one over the other, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. Remember guys, you can of course subscribe to the channel. Now if you want to see more videos like this one, click any of those links down below, and I will see you in the next one.